Hi, I just want to say thank you for meeting with me.
No problem.
And what's your job title for those that don't know who you are?
My job title is Associate Director in the
Oh.
Office of Student Activities.
Okay. Why do you think it's important that there are clubs on campus?
I think that they provide beneficial out of the classroom experiences. I think that they're tools and ways that students can use to connect to their peers in a social way. They're tools that students can use to practice leadership skills. They help fuel students' passions.
Mm-hmm.
They help provide creative outlets. They just enhance the total college experience for many students who take advantage of them.
Right. And you mentioned how there's like a social aspect of like joining a club.
Absolutely.
And do you think like joining a club can boost someone's self-esteem?
I think it can. I think if you approach it in the right way, and I think that when you're seeking an opportunity to be involved in a student organization, if that is something, if fit within the organization in terms of personality, in terms of the other members of that organization who are already pre-existing, is something that you're looking at and something that you're valuing as part of choosing which experience you want to take advantage of, I think that absolutely can help boost self-esteem. I think when you're surrounding yourself with people who are positive or who are motivating or who are affirming to you, they're seeing what talents you're bringing to the organization, and they're reminding you and telling you you're doing a great job or you're really contributing to what we're doing and we appreciate you. Then those things, and that doesn't exist, of course, solely within student organizations, but that's definitely something that someone might be able to gain from their involvement.
Okay. And, like students are like, a lot of them are busy in the classrooms, like studying for exams,
right,
working on projects. My question for you is, are clubs like a good outlet to like relieve stress?
I think they can be. I think that some students would argue that being involved in an organization adds to their stress level to some degree. I think especially when you take on a leadership role and there's responsibility placed on you and people are counting on you or looking up to you, there's definitely additional stressors that can be placed.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that there are many students who would assert that additional responsibility and pressure and stress helps keep them more organized and helps with their time management. And if they're pursuing something, again, that might be a creative outlet for them or that fuels a passion that they have that they're not maybe satisfying in the classroom. So I'm specifically thinking of if you are an accounting major and you're in the accounting club,
yeah,
that's a very natural fit, and that's something that's enhancing your curricular experience in the classroom. But if you're an accounting major but you really love singing and you join an a cappella group, you're not learning about singing in the classroom, right? But if that's something that you have always enjoyed, maybe in high school you enjoyed it, or maybe it's something new that you are adding to your life, the stress relief that it might bring you to just fully immerse yourself in that org and go to rehearsal and just really enjoy being with other people who enjoy singing as much as you do and working on that craft for no other reason other than it brings you pleasure. It makes you happy.
Indeed.
Right? I think that's really important too, and it's important that students know that they can continue to pursue those types of opportunities beyond SU as well. I think that a lot of times students have to narrow their focus in terms of what they want to spend their time doing. there's a lot of times when, like, in elementary school or middle school, you're able to be involved in all these different things, and then you end up having to kind of narrow that down when there's time constraints or financial constraints and things like that. And hopefully, just because you're pursuing a degree and hopefully going to go then pursue a career in some different type of field doesn't mean that you still can't play a sport or be in a community service volunteer-based organization or be in a performing arts organization in college, but also beyond that as well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So, have there, students, there are some students out there that may, feel like they don't fit in
Sure.
to, the general population.
Okay.
How have, clubs, really helped those that are, not as, mainstream or, they don't feel edgy? How do they fit? How do they,
Well, I can't speak for anyone individually.
Yeah.
Of course. I would imagine that for this project it would be helpful for you to find someone who maybe could speak to their own individual experience with it. What I can say is there are many organizations that make it their mission to help students find their place on campus. I think that organizations help students connect to the institution.
Absolutely.
There are many examples of students over the years that I've been working here, and I'm sure much longer than that, where students have said, if not for my involvement in X, Y, or Z organization, I would have left SU because I couldn't find ways to connect with my peers, or I couldn't find I couldn't find a way to make SU feel like home.
Right.
And by joining an organization, I found people maybe who weren't just like me, but who understood me and welcomed me and made me feel important and made me feel welcomed and made me feel valued and appreciated my talents in a way that made this place feel like home, that made this big institution that maybe was a little bit overwhelming or maybe just you felt disconnected to that the organization helped make that connection and helped bring together people who may not have met each other in any other way, but found a shared interest in whatever that organization was, and that helped a student turn a corner and decide, I love SU and I actually want to come back next semester and I want to come back next year and I can't wait to live with people from this organization off campus at some, it reframes how they think about this institution, and so they can absolutely be useful tools for things like that. I've heard of many stories like that.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
you said earlier just now you said your main goal is to make people feel at home by joining clubs. Is that your main mission, your mission statement, is to make people feel included and make them feel at home?
I don't know that I personally have a mission statement when it comes to that. Our office's mission statement is about providing students opportunities. Mm-hmm. And then each individual organization has their own mission when it comes to what they're pursuing. So I think that's a tough question for me to answer because our office oversees all of the recognized student organizations on campus, but that is one piece of what we do, and we offer students many different types of opportunities. And I think at the root of it, there definitely is the sense of creating belonging, creating community, creating connection with peers, with advisors, with people in the community, all of the above. So in a sense, that's a mission, but it's broader than that as well.
Okay. I just quickly want to go back to social pressure and like
Okay.
clubs, how like time management and all, and like there's a whole controversy with like the whole the fraternity like hazing thing, and like how they feel like how some pledges feel like obligated to like please their fellow peers. Do you think one of the cons of joining a club is like feeling that peer pressure of like trying to fit in, trying to like please their fellow peers?
Well, it's tough for me to speak to the Greek life at SU because I don't work in that office.
Yeah. I was just talking about like in general, like
right. But
like
you did bring up the
content.
specific example of hazing in Greek life and
Indeed.
pledging. And all I'm saying is that's not the office I work in, so I don't have direct experience with that every day. I think that one of the issues in student involvement as kind of an umbrella can be hazing. I think that hazing is not limited just to the Greek community. You see examples of it there was that pretty famous example, I want to say, from Florida, of the marching band. There was a student who was involved in the marching band, was hazed. And I think that that's a real issue that we need to look at. I don't think that I would look at that and say that's a drawback to joining an org, because that is, while it does exist, and that's unfortunately happening for some students at some institutions, that is not what's happening by and large throughout most of the organizations, or all of the organizations that we're working with. So I think it's tough to classify it and paint with broad strokes and say, this is what's happening and this is a drawback of joining an organization. I think if that's what's happening to someone in an organization that they join, whether it's at this institution, at any institution, any kind of organization, then they need to reevaluate why they're joining. There's also resources to help them. So I would never tell anyone, be careful of joining X, Y, or Z because this is a drawback of your involvement. I think that's totally unfair.
Okay.
I think that you need to be smart about knowing the reasons why you're joining an organization, and if you start to feel uncomfortable at any point, reach out to the resources that are available to you and say, I don't think this is right. Not to say that anyone who ends up getting hazed, it's their fault for not seeking out those resources, because of course it's never their fault. However, I think to classify it as a drawback to involvement is unfair to all of the organizations who are doing such great work.